such a perfect moment in the game yesterday. So Walker Buehler, the Dodgers pitcher, can't find the strike zone. He walks the pitcher. The Braves are up 1-0. So he walks the pitcher, load the bases. And then he throws what looks like 4 straight balls to Acuna, the best player on the Braves, 20 years old, in a couple years probably the best player in baseball. Acuna doesn't get the call on the fourth, what should have been the fourth ball, way out of the strike zone, calls it a strike. So he's angry. Next pitch, grand slam. So Buehler thought he got away with it with one, ends up giving up a grand slam. Braves get up 5-0. Dodgers tied up. Braves end up winning, I think, get the winning run in the 6th and hold on. So what looked like was going to be a sweep. Now, Braves can force a game 5. Should be an all.
Just to make the most appropriate baseball comment ever, when Acuna steps back, when you thought it wasn't going to really be pitched, I saw his chain and I said to myself, that's a chain Nick Wright would like.
No, that's why you always putting these No, that is not a chain Nick Wright would like,
man. That's a chain Nick Wright would like. That's what I said. And then what did he do?
Hit the grand slam.
Grand slam.
That's a chain Nick Wright can afford. That one right there, he can get 3 of them.
Time for us to go viral. Check out this cool moment from the NBA over the weekend. Warriors played a preseason game in Seattle. Remember, Seattle Supersonics drafted KD in 2008 before the team moved to OKC. To pay homage, he wore Sonics legend Shawn Kemp's jersey. What'd you think, Nick?
Listen, Seattle deserves a team. Yeah. Seattle flatly deserves a team. At some point, I believe they will get a team back. What happened, the way Oklahoma City got their team was basically theft. The owners, we're not going to move the team. We're not going to move the team. They're emailing each other, can't wait to move the team.
5 minutes later.
And I was at KD's last game ever as a Sonic in Seattle about a decade ago. And so he didn't want to leave Seattle. He was leading the chant, Save Our Sonics, back as a rookie.
Yeah,
that was
a great gesture. It was a great gesture. And if Kevin Durant hadn't have said some of the things, it would have been even more hyped up. It was nice by him to put on the Shawn Kemp. Nice little touch.
Very cool.
All right, time now for stories to start your morning.
He needed to get in the weight room, though. Man, I thought he lost some weight since last week.
Antonio Brown and the Steelers offense rolling against the Falcons yesterday. AB finished with 6 catches, 101 yards, 2 touchdowns. Steelers win big, 41-17. See, how impressive was Pittsburgh's offense yesterday?
Oh, it was impressive. They got back on sync. AB, Ben had a sense of urgency going into the game. Ben was the one leading the charge, but AB played at the level that we have been expecting. So good job by Steelers in their overall passing attack.
And every year, there's at least one team whose hopes and dreams are dashed due to injury. We normally focus on the quarterback injury. We're like, it's Jimmy Garoppolo. Well, it's the Falcons this year. They cannot defend. They didn't need a great defense, but they were going to have an average defense. Lost 2 safeties, lost their middle linebacker. Everyone is going to move the ball, and this was a good get-right game for Pittsburgh.
Moving on to the Packers and Lions. Mason Crosby, you talk about a tough day, missed 4 field goals and an extra point, left 13 points off the Packers' board. Green Bay loses 31-23. Nick, how much of this loss is on Crosby?
As much as can be on a kicker. The only reason he didn't miss all his field goals is because they let him kick one with 2 seconds left when they were down 11. Let's see if you can do this. Yeah. He's one of, I would say, 3 or 4 maximum kickers in the league that could survive this. Because he's won a Super Bowl with them. You saw Rodgers going over to him and talking to him. Because he has such history there. 28 kickers would be unemployed this morning after that game yesterday.
And he's part of the storyline, but the Packers were bad the first half. Now, we know the kicker missed the kicks and everything, but this was a team that did not look motivated. Aaron Rodgers looked like he could have been other places out there. So let's watch what's going on in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers has the press conference last week. The kicker, I don't know what's going on with the kickers this year, but they're terrible. This year off.
They're terrible, man.
Moving on to the Broncos and Jets. Rookie Sam Darnold finished with 198 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an INT. Jets get the win 34-16. See, how impressive did Darnold look yesterday?
Oh, very impressive. Him and Robbie Anderson connecting. I got Robbie texting me, man, I'm trying to be patient. I'm working hard. I'm like, I thought the NFL is supposed to be difficult.
And get back out on the field.
I got a relationship with him. I was like, now you're being patient. You got 1 touchdown. 20 minutes later, had to text him again. Robbie got another touchdown. Sam Darnold, I felt like played his best game. Connecting on the deep throws, attacking the defense down the football field. First time Jets have done that successfully all season.
And that's going to get the headlines. Isaiah Crowell was the best player on the field yesterday.
Yeah.
You told me he was a 5-star kid out of high school.
Absolutely.
I didn't know that.
Best high school running back.
You saw some real flashes from him yesterday. I think he had 219 yards. He was the best player yesterday.
All right, finally, Rams and Seahawks. Russell Wilson finally got the offense rolling, throwing for 3 touchdowns, but there was no stopping Todd Gurley, who had 3 scores on the ground himself. Jared Goff converts the big 4th and 1 late in the game, and the Rams stay undefeated on the season. Here's Rams head coach Sean McVay after a big win on the road.
It was just one of those games. You knew it was going to be come down to the wire, and just try to give my team some energy, man. Offense, defense. Defense is upset, but just tell them we got their back. We all in this together. It's not going to be a blowout win or whatever. So it was just one of those fun games.
I guess the longer you play the game, the more different you end up looking. Sean McVay looks just like Todd Gurley right now, who had an absolutely incredible game.
He got dreads and
everything.
He's trying to blend in.
And he's doing a great job. It almost looks like Todd Gurley. What do you think, Steve? Have the Rams cemented themselves as the best team in the NFL at this point?
They're definitely the best team in the NFL because of their balance, their defense. Came up with big stops when they had to. The thing about the Rams was you're going to have games like this game. But teams that are not good teams, they end up losing this game. A divisional game. Last year, the Rams embarrassed Seattle. So Seattle went into this game with a little more motivation. Seattle played a good football game, played well enough to be able to win. But the Rams, their offensive firepower, even being without 2 of their top receivers, Brandon Cook knocked out of the game. Kupp knocked out of the game. So him using his backup players, you could see how good Jared Goff is in his 3rd year as the starting quarterback there. Sean McVay, though, being aggressive at the end, that's what wins this game. So I don't mind a team struggling. So sometimes you still have to be able to win these games, especially divisional games on the road. We know Seattle's very, very tough at home. So I thought this was a good win for the Rams.
It's a good win for the Rams. The Seahawks were 7.5-point dogs at home. The last time that happened was the Beastquake game. The playoff game against the Saints that they won with Marshawn Lynch before Russell Wilson got there. So we're not used to seeing Seattle as heavy home underdogs, and the Rams, while they didn't cover, they were able to win. This was an expensive game for them, though. I mean, as far as you had Cooks, like you mentioned, he got hit hard. Kupp left with an injury. And you saw little cracks in the defensive armor.
Yes.
Still no Aqib Talib. But the pass defense, while Russell Wilson had a 132 rating, what really concerned me was the run defense. Seattle ran the ball 32 times for 190 yards. 190 yards on the ground. So I think they're the best team in the league. But they are, to me, the gap between them and Kansas City shortened this weekend with what Kansas City did and what the Rams did. If we're talking about the best team in each conference.
Well, I just think the secondary. And Marcus Peters, he guessed a couple times in this game, got beat deep. We know they're getting Talib back later on in the season, so you have to be able to bake that into the equation. You think they're better on the back end than Kansas City is.
It's like what you guys say. They needed a game like this. They needed a game to be tested, to have to actually challenge themselves, to overcome, to be on the road. It was a good win for them.
Well, it's first game out of the state of California, and we mentioned it earlier. I want to mention it again, though, because he deserves a ton of credit. 4th and 1. With the game on the line, he brings Sean McVay calls his punt team out there. Pete Carroll calls timeout. McVay has a minute to think about it. He's like, you know what? We're only up 2. If we allow a field goal, we lose. Let's just go try to win this game right now. Jared Goff, QB sneak. Seattle never touches the ball again. That's an excellent play call. Even if it doesn't work, it's the right play call. Credit to him.
So the anti-Jason Garrett play call.
Absolutely right.
All right, moving on to the Vikings and Eagles, also known as my only 4 o'clock plans yesterday. All Minnesota at the start of this one. Kirk Cousins finds Adam Thielen, and the Vikings take a 17-3 halftime lead. Eagles trying to make a comeback. Carson Wentz to Zach Ertz for the touchdown to pull within 2 with a minute left. Eagles with the onside kick, but Thielen makes the recovery because what can't Thielen do? Eagles fall to 2-3 on the season. Vikings get the revenge win. Here is Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins.
I think we found a way. Wasn't perfect, certainly. I was pleased with the fact that we kept trying to answer, and credit to Coach Flip for being aggressive as a play caller, making sure that he gave us opportunities to answer, and then players had to go make plays.
We got to take a real hard look in the mirror. Little mistakes like that, and kind of the same thing I really echoed last week after the game. These little mistakes that sometimes can go overlooked are just killing us, and we're playing like we're a young rookie team, and we're not. And so we got to really be hard on ourselves and learn from these mistakes and turn it around fast.
CC, tell me if I'm wrong here. Anytime I hear a player say we have to take a look in the mirror, they're having an identity problem. Like, who are we really? What's our specialty? What is our strength? This is a team that won the Super Bowl that should know exactly what they have coming into this year. How concerned should the defending champion Eagles be after falling to 2-3 now?
I'm concerned. I'm concerned because also what the players and the coaches have been saying in the press conferences. The quarterback lets you know that I need to take a look at myself, because the last time he was the starting quarterback, they were a different football team, because you do have to realize that as much as Philadelphia fans want to applaud their franchise quarterback, he didn't win with them last year. So now, they did that all alone. Like, he was a cheerleader. So now they come back, and all offseason, what do we hear? Oh, man, New England, people don't want to play up there. They don't have fun and everything. We have more fun. How much fun you having now? That's what I want to ask Lane Johnson. How much fun you having? Like, you're not the best right tackle in pro football. You sat right here and said it. Took up all this space and everything. Right here, big fella. You said, I'm the best tackle in football. Him, Jason Peters. Jason Peters struggling with injuries. He's in and out the game. So that offensive line, that was a dominant force. They're no dominant force. They can't run the ball. They got fumbling problems as far as their running back. They don't have a featured running back. They are missing LeGarrette Blount, that big hammer that they had last year. There's no dependable big plays in the passing game outside of Zach Ertz. So, yes, I'm concerned about who they're going to be, how they're going to move forward, and my biggest concern happens to be on that offensive line.
Who are the Philadelphia Eagles? That's the question right now. We know who they were last year. You kept saying it, and I love it. Their big people are better than your big people.
Yes.
They weren't yesterday. They weren't last week either. They played 5 games this year. It's not just that they're 2-3. It's that their 2 wins weren't decisive. It's not like it's like, okay, last year they had 7 decisive victories. We know the majority of NFL games come down to the fourth quarter, usually one-possession games. Last year, 7 times didn't come down to the fourth quarter. Didn't come down to one possession. They beat the brakes off teams. Even their wins, Atlanta has a chance to win the game at the end. Indy, you need a drive at the end of the game to beat Indianapolis, and then Indy drives it right back on you with a chance to win. You know why I'm also concerned? I watched how Tennessee moved the ball on you last week.
Yes.
And then I watched Tennessee yesterday.
Same team.
Lose to Buffalo and not score a touchdown. Like, I mean,
in Buffalo's defense, they did beat the Vikings also.
Absolutely. But I saw Tennessee, the one time this year their offense has had a real pulse was against the Eagles. The Eagles' offensive line gave up 8 tackles in the backfield, whether that's sacks or TFLs. Like, their defensive line generates 1 sack. Their secondary is highly problematic. Like, the DL, at least the defensive line, I get it. Timmy Jernigan's injured. Haloti Ngata wasn't there. Like, and I think they will be better. Michael Bennett made a big play, got a tough call on him. I understand that part of it. But the secondary, help ain't on the way. And who are you right now as the Philadelphia Eagles?
Something you said that was really interesting. This is a team that I think truly believes they won last year because they were having fun, because they were the anti-Patriots, because they felt they had a new system, a new formula to how they were going to approach football. Well, things have changed now. So if you're Doug Peterson and you're not having fun, what's the message so this thing doesn't get way out of control at this point in this season?
That's the one thing we have to put respect to. Doug Peterson's learning, too, as a head coach. Like, we can't act as if he's got 10 years experience. We had Coach Mangini on the show. Mangini talked about New England. When did they struggle? After they won their first championship. That next season, right, they missed the playoffs. They missed the playoffs. Now, that's real. And he said at that time they didn't know. They didn't know that something happens after the Super Bowl, and they tried to prevent it. They did everything, and even they struggled with their success. This is what we've seen in the NFL. Teams that are successful, everyone except New England, if they win, which is very, very rare, we see them struggle that next year. The schedule's tougher. They play more primetime games, and people are gunning for them. And they don't have the magic that they had last year. The underdog thing, it did work for them. Maybe they need to break out the mask and everything, because this team is totally different than the team we saw host the Lombardi Trophy in Minneapolis.
And what about the Vikings now? Are they back on track after a pretty commanding win yesterday?
They still can't run the ball.
No.
Like, that is yesterday, 23 for 77. I know Dalvin Cook didn't play, but up to this point in the year, he hasn't been playing well anyway. Right now, they are Kirk Cousins, and what was most encouraging for the Vikings yesterday, I thought, was the defense at least somewhat starting to round into form. But let me rephrase. The really most encouraging thing for the Vikings is they won. They had to win. They had one win going into that game. Now Zimmer, he was doing the whole, we were 2-2 this year, 2-2, 2-2. Now he can credibly tell the team, guys,
that's a good win.
We're at 500. We went on the road against the defending Super Bowl champs, and we found not only one, but we're up double digits inside a minute. Like, the Eagles got a touchdown at the end to make it look closer than it was at the end.
They need to keep an eye on Chicago. We saw Green Bay struggling yesterday in Detroit. That struggle will continue. But Chicago, they have a bye, and then they have the AFC East lined up. They got all 4 teams from the AFC East. So are they going to go 3-1 in that? They got New England in there. Are they going to go 3-1 in that? Do we think they're going to split? Nick probably thinks they're going to go 3-1 in that stretch. So you got to keep an eye on Chicago. They can run out and get to 8-9 wins fairly quick.
It's a great point. The next quarter of their season is all AFC East games. The road ones are Miami and Buffalo. The home ones are New England and the Jets. If you start 3-1 and the next quarter you go 3-1 again, now you're at 6-2. And even if Minnesota in that stretch goes even if they go 3-0 the rest to even up at 8 games, they still have a worse record than you. Even if they go 4-0, they
puts the pressure on the Vikings. They'd have to sweep the Bears.
Absolutely.
All right, we got to take a break. Coming up, don't tell the Rams, but the Chiefs might actually be the best team in the league. That's next on First Things First.
Adam Thielen is nice.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why the DBs of Philadelphia talking trash to him. He nice.
He's about to